watching Today I Grew Up.
Now give me the
Us,
microphone.
no.
It's my turn. You're watching Today I Grew Up. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey, howdy, hey, partners. It's Today I Grew Up, and today I'm super excited because we have Preston from Preston's Toy Shop, and I am very excited to finally see him face to face on camera, and for all you to see him on camera and hear his voice. So, how are you doing today, Preston?
I'm doing great. Hey, howdy, hey, everybody. I'm so glad to
Awesome.
be on the podcast, and I'm so happy to share this time with you guys.
Sweet. So we're looking forward to this chat. I know it's a long time coming. I wanted to have you on here. As soon as I saw that reveal of like, oh my gosh, like you made a Toy Story movie actor Woody had and Buzz had. I was just blown away and I was like, okay, we have to partner. And so that's how we met each other on Instagram. Basically, I hit you up.
Yeah.
We started talking. But I want to go back before we get into the toys talk. I want to start with the beginning. So, what really got you into Toy Story in the first place?
Well, I was a kid of the 2000s. I literally grew up, I was born in 2000, and Toy Story kind of was the big thing at the time, and it was one of my first favorite films. I watched it religiously. I annoyed my parents with it. And even at the age of 4, I basically knew every fact about the movie and would just talk about it nonstop to the point where, I'd talk my parents' ear off.
That's awesome.
And then it came to the point where, like, every yard sale I'd go to, every time we'd go to the store and I'd see a Woody doll when I was really young, I'd get like almost in tears upset if I couldn't take it home because I thought it was going to be left alone. And, when you're a kid, you sort of see the movies and you think these toys, and so when you're little, you're like, oh, I don't want to leave them alone. I don't want to have them be an abandoned toy.
Yeah, totally understandable. And so my next question is, I know you had mentioned, for those people who don't know, your dad actually is a big person in the Disney world, and so to speak. You
Yeah.
want to touch on that a little bit and
He's
how
the
maybe that
he's
influenced your
he's the shadow.
stuff?
He's the
Yeah.
shadow under the bigness of Disney. He's like he does a lot of he's done a lot of stuff for Disney. He's done stuff for Nickelodeon. He's done stuff for game companies. He just he has lent his voice to so many things that people don't know about. They probably have some toy in their room or some video game that my dad's voice is a part of. And he's been doing that for a long time. He started out doing stand-up comedy, and then he was in radio for a while. He worked on Wink 104 and Hot 92. And he
Wow.
was a radio disc jockey, and he also did his voice impressions there. In fact, even sometimes they paid him to do like impressions of other jockeys, like Casey Kasem. I don't know if anybody of
I
the
do know
younger
who that
audience will know
is.
who that is, but
Yeah.
yeah, he does like a perfect impression of Casey Kasem, and he would
Wow.
sometimes pretend to be him on the radio and stuff, and it was a whole thing. But after he left that sort of professional life, he went into work for himself, and he built his own studio in our house uh, that we used to live in back in PA. I'm in Florida now, and he did basically everything under the sun.
That's amazing. Yeah, and so I remember you surprised me one of these days and you sent me an audio recording as a thank you, for the promotion we did together
Yeah,
for your toy shop. And I got this email and I opened it up and I heard it and I was like, that sounds exactly like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Like I was so
yeah.
shocked. And then he did some other voice characters too, and I was like, wow, like this sounds so real. What is your impression of it? Like, did you always just get used to your dad making these impressions, or was he doing this around the house? Like, how did
He
you get impressed by this?
he hears a new voice and then he'll walk around the house for days trying to replicate it because he knows that somebody is probably going to come to him and say, "Can you do this voice?"
Mhm.
So since I've been little, I've been walking around and I'll hear him in the kitchen making something, and it'll be like, Mickey Mouse or Daffy Duck or Homer Simpson or Austin Powers or any of those people. And they're just talking about random stuff. And then he'll start like having conversations between the two voices, switching between them. And it's like there's two different people there. It's a lot of fun. And it's one of those things that has always made my life very interesting.
That's so cool. And yeah, and so what I did recently was I got that audio from your dad. I cut it down to 10 seconds because it was a longer clip, and which I will
Oh
post
yeah.
later in its entirety, but I wanted to start with the trailer. And so I hired an animation artist and then Jordy from Toy Story NL2. He actually is the one who made me the original logo that you see popping out in the clouds. And then when your dad was adding that layer to it, I was just like, this is so cool. This is like the Toy Story community helping each other, coming together. That's what my channel's all about.
New
And guess
logo
what?
looks great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And guess what happened? The first thing that happens, we get like
Mhm.
attacked like crazy left and right. That's AI. There's no way
Yeah.
he's a real voice actor. There's no way that's real. I can hear some kind of AI filter like
Hmm.
okay, maybe Preston's dad recorded the voice, but I'm actually hearing a Tim Allen, Tom Hanks voice filter over that voice. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
technically
a
I
lot
guess
of stuff.
maybe somebody could do that with a program. But
Hmm.
what is your response on that? Because I'll share my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts on that
It's
feedback.
annoying. It's annoying and it's funny because number one, like I know I've been hearing him do these voices ever since I was little, so it's not a shock to me that he can do them. But also I know the internet right now. Everybody AI is a hot button issue and there's a lot of sensitive nerves around it. And I understand it. As an artist myself, I understand the sensitive nerves around AI. But it kind of pulls everybody out of the woodwork, calling everything that they see that they don't have like the step for step background behind AI. Like if you don't show your art and then show the sketch of your art and the video of you sketching the art or the video of you doing the voice, then it's like that's AI. And it is what it is.
Yeah, it's sad to hear that. I mean, I know we had talked about AI being kind of like a helpful tool to some people in
Yeah,
creating things such as, and you've used
including me.
AI in your work. And
Hmm.
talk to my friend Josh from Cinema Toy Box. Shout out to you, Josh. He told me
Great
that he
guy.
went, yeah, great guy. He's used AI as well for some of the things on his channel. And I
Yeah.
was thinking to myself, huh, I never thought about using it, but maybe it could be helpful. But for now, I'm more like, okay, let's use the organic where I can. But I do more toys anyway, so it's just me and toys basically. But in the future, I don't dismiss using it. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think that's a problem right now. I think in the community, people will hear it and they'll think of it as a bad word, like AI is a bad
Yeah.
thing. Don't. But why couldn't it be used to be a helpful tool? But anyways, not to get too off tangent because I do that too. Is Preston Dad is a real voice actor. What you're hearing is actually him.
Yeah. So my dad had, though he is a voice actor, he hasn't been doing voice acting for like the last, I'd say, 3 years. He's been, like we've talked about, he's been doing Santa at Disney, and he also has a few different side jobs that he does that are all entertainment based. But he hasn't had his own studio in the house for those 3 years. So when we decided to do this, it was kind of like slapdash put it together. We were literally upstairs in our loft office space that is open to every door and television and person talking in the house. And like I told you, I think literally my mom was downstairs watching Big
Yeah.
Brother on full blast. So we had to use like a noise cancellation software that does use AI to remove all the background sound in order to get a clear, almost studio sounding vocal. So if you hear any weird audio distortion in there, that's all it is. It's just the audio cleanup.
Oh yeah, and that's funny because I can relate to this too because I'm a recording artist. I'm a lead singer in a band, a pop punk band,
Yeah.
and I'm in the studio all the time. And my voice organically sounds a little bit way different than the final recordings because people don't
Hmm.
think about it. When you're finalizing an audio track, there's vocal compression, there's effects added. I notice your dad kind of likes to use like an old radio kind of background sound. So to me,
Yeah.
like it's gonna change the audio from like, hey, I'm talking to you, right? So
He
yeah,
loves
it's
old timey stuff because it links into like classic Coca-Cola Santa.
yeah, and so I think that's super cool. And when I hear it, I can tell that's not really Tim Allen. That's not really Tom Hanks. It's just different
Hmm.
enough in my ears that I can tell that's not them. So I know it's your
Hmm.
dad because I can hear that. I have a good ear for music and voices, and I could tell right away that's a real close, as close as you can get to Tim Allen, Tom Hanks, because I can notice a slight difference because there's cadence to people's voices. There's vocal tones, there's emphasis, right, on different syllables.
Yeah.
Like Austin Power says, wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Like I can hear those things. Not everybody can, but it's just sad that trolls online would be like, "That's fake. That's AI." It's like, do you even know the person? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to go as far as to call everybody a troll because, like, some
right,
people are just they are a sense they are
right.
like not. I don't want to be rude and say sensitive. It's like they're the subject itself is sensitive to them.
Right.
So I try not to attack anybody about it, but
Yeah. So you have used AI for yourself in some things too, right? Like a
Mhm.
little bit.
The protective sleeve bags that are printed, I used AI to help me make that art. Now, I didn't just use the AI and slap it on the bags. I I got an image that was generally kind of had a framework of what I wanted. And in fact, both of them were in black and white. because I don't like the color grading that AI does most of the time.
Mhm.
So I went in, I fixed all the weird line work because AI can have a lot of weird fuzzy lines. I went over it in Photoshop. I have a digital drawing tablet. And I went over the line work again and I recolored it and reshaded it and everything. So though I did use AI as a base, it was more of just to get me to a concept faster because in the time that I was making the bags, I was deep in a pile of orders and
Right.
I didn't have time to make this whole new visual thing for the bag, but I wanted to make my product look more professional.
Right.
And as an artist, it's not like an artist is losing their job because I'm using the AI. It would have been me anyways. So
Right.
now it was just me speeding up my time a little bit while still being able to put out something that was nicer.
Right. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
thanks for explaining that because I think that it's good. It's good to be honest with fans and also just let people know what you do and what you don't do. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely very transparent, and it's good. It's good to have that. And thanks for explaining that because some people were asking me about it, and I was like, I don't know. Ask Preston about it. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But the whole point is, and why we're talking about this, AI isn't a bad thing. It's a helpful tool, and when used right, is in the correct way, then there's nothing. I don't see any problems with it. Right? It's a difference
No.
between someone using AI and then trying to pass it off as like that's my work when you're using AI. That's a different
Mhm.
story. But
Yeah,
you're
if
you're
anybody asks me, I'll
yeah,
tell them.
exactly. So you're not like lying about it. So you're being honest about it. And I think
Mhm.
that's where AI comes in then and can be helpful and help artists like yourself. Put us up to date because you were kind of missing in action a little bit and people were like, "When's he coming
I
back?
was.
I want to buy one." So
So I do want to say to anybody that didn't get a response from me for a while, I am very, very genuinely sorry. Um,
life happens.
life happens, and also I'm a brand new business owner in terms of like selling physical products. I used to work, and I actually still work for the Minecraft Marketplace
Oh,
as a
nice.
partner with Microsoft, and we make content for like maps, texture packs, add-ons, all that. And the way you sell that is you make it one time, and then people can buy it continuously. It's downloadable content. So I was used to that business model.
Right.
But moving into this, obviously, every time someone orders something, I have to make it over and over and over and over again. And I hadn't factored in for, how many people would want what I was making because I knew
Yeah.
Seed Toys was already doing a really great job, and so was Cop.
Divine Child was another one
Divine
making.
Child, thank you. That was one I was
Yeah.
thinking of. There's so many great creators out there, and they're already doing a great job. And I really wasn't sure what I could really add to the market. I just wanted to throw my hat into the ring, see if anybody cared, and if they did, I'd sell a few maybe. But interest grew very fast, especially after you and me got into contact with each
After
other.
my videos went out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was not ready for it, and I didn't know how I was going to do orders. And this is actually an important thing. Um, Before, so everyone understands, when you made an order, I made the product. It wasn't I had a back stock and then I sent it to you.
Right.
It was, I was making it every time someone made an order. And that was a terrible system. It was not good at all.
Right.
It set me back so long because I have like 100 orders and I'd have to make each one by hand and I'd make them in like batches of 10 because that's all I could handle at once.
Yeah.
Um, and it ended up like I ended up losing a lot more money than I ended up making
Sorry to
because
hear
and I
that.
might talk a lot of finance, but
Yeah.
because you know I really wasn't sure on like the profit margins of things and how much it was going to cost when some inflationary things happened,
Right.
and I started to have to deal with that, but I didn't want to raise my prices because obviously like I made this product so that people could afford it that couldn't afford it before. So yeah. But the new system now is going to be that I will make a backstock. I will make a set of, let's say, 20,
Good.
and then I will say, I have 20 available. They're available on all these sites. Whoever gets them first gets them. And then you'll have to wait again until I make some more. But I just don't want to leave people waiting anymore. I don't like doing that. I don't like having people just constantly thinking that I may scam them or something like that. That's just not a good situation. And it doesn't make for good relationships between people in the community. So
Yeah.
definitely changing that in the future.
No, yeah, and thanks for explaining that. I already kind of knew that. I remember we were talking, and I was like, "Preston, you're not sleeping. I'm gonna
Yeah.
send a lot of people your way, sure." And you're like, so that it's good. It's a good learning curve, and that's something that people don't understand if they're not on the other end of it. They
Yeah.
just see, oh, I paid you. Where's my stuff? That's all they
Yeah.
care about.
A new business is very difficult.
Yeah, for sure. And me too. Like now that I am seasoned in selling physical product in my website, todaygroup.com,
Yeah.
I feel very confident now. And that's why my prices are reflecting there's a little profit for me to, for my time and labor, but most
Hmm.
of it is gonna go into shipping. It's gonna go into packing materials. Like people ask me like, why you charge so much for like a ruby and a pull string? Well, I have to buy the bubble mailers, I have to buy the envelopes, I have to buy the postage. I have to buy the stickers that go into it, the labels that go on top of it. There's like, oh yeah, and like just
Like if you
all the
pay to keep the
maintenance of
website
like,
open.
yeah, as I'm going, I'm like, oh, I need to buy more baggies. I need to buy more bubblers. I need to buy more. It's just like the costs
Mhm.
just never end as a business owner, and people don't think about that,
Yeah,
So
unfortunately,
yeah,
there's not like a shop you can go to that just hands you all that stuff for free.
yeah, exactly. It's not. I mean, sometimes, yeah. Granted, I could put it in an envelope, but if I sell pearlized buttons, they have to be in padded form,
Hmm.
otherwise they could break on shipping or flatten or
Oh,
whatever.
I have to, because my stuff
So,
is made from resin, which like resin is not as durable as plastic. It is just
right,
how it is. I have to pack it as carefully as possible. I have to do
exactly.
like paper and then bubble wrap and then a bag and then more paper, more bubble wrap in the printed bag and then more bubble wrap around that and
And then
then get a custom box.
the canvas material
Yeah.
can't be cheap. Those canvas bags probably cost you money too.
Yeah, there's this nice bulk shipping.
Hmm.
It's literally called bulk that sells stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And I can get them for a fairly good price, but still, it's like for a pack of 300, it's like I think it's like $95 for a pack of
Yeah.
300 of those bags.
Yeah, everything
So,
costs money. Like I remember
mhm,
I give out free stickers now with every order. And those stickers
mhm.
cost me like $80 to print. Like, everything just costs money, even though I'm not even charging people for that. So it's
Yeah, I
life.
can tack on the charges of the certificates and the
Right.
bags really to my prices because again, I'm really trying to keep prices low. I'm probably going to have to even out the prices between the Buzz and the Woody head because right now Woody's like 75 and Buzz was 85 because he has a lot more internal little parts that are
Right.
difficult to put together and paint. But
Hmm.
I'm probably going to even out the both of them to being at 85 just so that I have more of an exact price. But
I really appreciate this, Preston. It really helps kind of clear the air in the Toy Story
yeah.
community. I just want to let everybody know Preston's back. He's kind of fine-tuned his system. So
Hmm.
hopefully it's smooth running now going forward. So I'm really excited to
Yeah.
see what else you got, up your sleeve, which is a good segue
Yeah.
to transition to what projects you got going on.
We already know that I was working on the giant Woody head, which I still actually have
Yeah, that's
right here.
whoa.
I'm
I've never
working on
seen
this
that.
still. Yeah. It
Wow.
got put on the back burner for a while.
Just scale wise. Whoa, whoa, you just turned into movie actor Woody. Dude, sorry, I'm tripping out. This is like my dream come true right now. I've always dreamed of this moment. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
Preston,
so I do have to
that's
do some
amazing.
more painting on him. What we're gonna do with the very first one, just to see what interest is, because again, I want to know what people number one are willing to pay, and number one if it's worth my time and energy and putting that like extra thing onto my schedule. We're gonna do a auction off for the first one,
Cool.
and after I finish it, which will probably be in a couple of days, and I'll make an announcement on my Instagram, and that first one will go out, and it'll have giant zip ties and everything that come with it, and probably a
Wow.
big star to replace the star that's on the Big Woody.
Hmm.
And then once I know a general idea of how many people are interested and a general price range, then I'll be moving on to making V3 heads in that
Nice.
scale because
Wow.
currently this is the V1, which is all in one part. And
Wow.
actually, it made it a lot more difficult to make this huge head. V3 made in several parts will actually make it a lot easier.
Well, all I gotta say, I think that you've got great ideas right there. If I were you, I'd probably do like a quantity 10 limited edition, even do like a numbered
Mhm.
certificate with them. And then if
Oh
that
yeah,
all sells out, maybe you can expand the line to something else, right? But
yeah,
yeah, if I review it on my channel, I'll bring you the customers. Don't worry about that. Once they see it on
for
my
sure.
channel, well, generally people want it and they'll go buy it.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah,
demand will be there.
I want to get you one of the V3
Yeah.
ones for sure.
I appreciate that, man. It was always my dream. I remember talking about it on my channel years ago before I met you. I thought,
Mhm.
what if we made a movie accurate Woody head, and it was just a pipe dream. So thank you for
Mhm.
making toy dreams come true, and it's just
I'm
so
trying
fun.
for sure.
It's just
Yeah,
so fun, and
I'm
as
trying to make little Preston's dreams come true
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah, and you're doing a great job, and in doing so, you're
Yeah,
making all of our fan hearts, dreams come true as well. So it's sharing the love in the community, right?
yeah, for
So
sure. Oh yeah, the Metacom Buzz. I have the model made up, and I'm going to start showing it off in a few days once I have the
Awesome.
little things worked out. For the connector to the Metacom Buzz, and what I'm going to start selling is literally just the faceplate, and
Yeah.
it is going to pop directly into the Metacom Buzz. You won't even have to pop off the purple cowl piece, and I'll make several different faces, all of them. I'm actually going to make a community pick list and hope that people leave comments down below and tell me what of the faces, like 1 through 10, that they really want to see. And of those 10, I'll pick 5 to make. Um,
Sweet.
I already have my original Toy Story 1 Buzz toy mode face all set up for it. But yeah, so I'm excited to do that. And then I think I'm also going to be making an adjustment to my Toy Story 1 Buzz head so that it does have a magnet connection on the bottom instead of the current pieces that are just a little more fragile than
Right.
I'd like them to be. And also making it so that you can swap out the faces with my Metacom Buzz face so that the face is not always attached.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited to help promote those products in the future as you have them going. I'd love to share the word, spread the word, show everybody what you got going on because everybody seems to love your work, including myself. So I'm your number one fan there for the toy making. So I
I
love
appreciate
everything
that.
you guys are doing. And your dad too. Like he's such an awesome guy with the voice acting and just like the support that he's done with you is so great to
Mhm.
see the father-son dynamic. That's super nice to see that. So
Me and him have been
yeah,
thick as thieves for forever.
that's awesome.
We are fortunate to have one of those father and son relationships that's very close.
And you told me that your dad actually makes props as well. So you think you got this talent from
Mhm.
him too, in a way?
He used to do reenacting when he was really, really young. He did reenacting with his uncle, and he would sell like war clubs, all these different things for the reenactors that he would make by hand, and he'd make them in traditional ways. So he, has been making stuff with his hands since he was young. His great grandfather built houses and things, and he helped him out, and like so much. There's so
Nice.
much creativity in my family that it kind of overflows down each generation.
That's amazing. And you didn't get the voice acting part from your dad?
I
The-
try every once in a while, but I have a stage fright thing. This is my
okay.
first time really doing a big thing on camera, so
Well, welcome. Today I Grew Up is the place to do
yeah.
that. We all
Mhm.
embrace imperfections on this platform. People know that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So nobody's perfect, people. We're all human. We all make
Nobody's
mistakes.
perfect, everybody.
We all stutter and we all like say the wrong things sometimes.
Hmm.
Makes us human. We're not AI. We're real people. This is not AI, people. Anyways, in the future though, I think it's going to be harder to like discern, right? Technology is getting kind of scary in that way sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
But
tell you, I have been paying close attention to it because for my job with Microsoft,
that's right. Yeah.
I need to keep up on all this technology stuff because in the marketplace, the Minecraft marketplace. It is so filled with creators now. Like when I first joined, it was like 20 creators and we were the 20th.
Mhm.
And it was fairly easy to get exposure on there because there wasn't a lot of people making content and you were able to kind of pick your day. But now it's so filled up with creators that you have to make something special and interesting, but you have to make it fast and it's really
Right.
difficult. So
Mhm.
AI actually helps speed up that process with coding and all that.
AI helps with time, but because you're
Hmm.
now into the business of physical goods that we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
how long does it actually take you to produce one Buzz painted head, fully printed and painted? How long are they taking for each one? I know you've worked on fine tuning and streamlining now, so if you can talk about that process, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear,
I'd
about
say
that.
the original Woody heads because they literally were just an FDM, not FDM. What is it? When the plastic extrusion type of printer. They were literally just that, and they were full of layer lines, and I had to sand them, and the sanding took an entire day for one.
Wow.
And because it had to be perfectly factory smooth. And then after sanding it, you get primer, wet sand it again until it's even smoother than that. And then you apply the skin tone, and that takes a day, sometimes a day and a half if things don't go right, which there's always bumps in the road. So yeah, that was like a 4 day process for one head, and longer if I was doing more than one. So that was not a feasible process, which is why I had to move on to version 2, which was with the resin printer. And then after that, just painting the eyes by hand and the hair, like lining up the hairline and the eyebrows took way too long still. It was not an efficient process, and there was no way I was going to be able to sell anything in a bulk amount.
Right.
And so that's why I moved on to version 3, where every part is separate and I can paint them separately so I don't have to focus on like being so meticulous going around the eye and making sure I don't get any paint streaks from the brush and a
I
lot.
can only imagine
So
it's a lot.
yeah, at this point, I'd say if I was just doing one on its own, which I rarely do, it's almost always a bulk process where I'll do like 10 at once, like I said.
Mhm.
But one on its own probably takes me like a full 24 hours,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
that's the whole thing if I'm compacting it into one day.
Yeah. I can only imagine just the amount of work that you have ahead of you,
Hmm.
even in batches, because if you're getting a lot of orders, which you are, it sounds like
Yeah.
that's got to be a little stressful. So it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Of like, so it's good. I'm glad you figured it out, and now you cannot.
Thankfully,
Yeah, it's good.
thankfully, I have gotten through most of my previous orders. There are a few people that ordered from me directly that I'm still working with because they made some bigger, more complex orders. Like somebody, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to like release names or anything,
Yeah, of course.
but somebody ordered a fully customized collection Woody that I'm working on in a Nesbit at the same time, and
Nice.
so that's going to be kind of a fun project I'm working on in the background. I'm
That's
definitely
cool.
open to some commission,
That's good to know for people out there who might be considering, hey, maybe I want a Mrs. Nesbit.
especially in this time where I'm kind of rebuilding the business up to something that's faster but also
More
more
efficient.
efficient and
Yeah.
and good. Um, I'm taking commissions because I need to make a little bit of extra money on the side to build out the business more, buy some more uh, machines.
Right.
Because right now, literally all the funds from the business go directly back into uh,
Yeah.
getting stuff for the company.
Yeah.
Um, Don't be fooled by the stuff behind you, everybody. This was all Minecraft money from like 5 years ago.
Nice, very cool. When I started my
What?
Today I Grew Up business, I
Yeah.
was also putting a lot of money into it. I think I invested like $10,000 the first year just in gear alone because I didn't
Mhm.
have anything. I didn't have lighting, I didn't have tripods, I didn't have microphones, I didn't have
Yeah.
all the stuff you need to be a YouTuber, including toys too. I had
Yeah.
some toys, but I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, got it, time to
You
buy
got to
more
prove the street
toys.
cred.
Exactly. And then custom makers were something that started in 2019, 2020
Hmm.
era. I felt like that's when it really started becoming a thing. And it was just cool. I was actually one of the first people in the US to upload on YouTube the first Woody mod transplant for the huggable plush head onto the collection body.
That was when I subscribed right away.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm proud of that I kind of sparked that fire for, hey, wait a
Hmm.
minute, this toy doesn't look like the movie. Why don't we try to make it look a little more like the movie? And I never dreamed it would go this far. And now to have people like you, coming on the stage to present something we finally wanted, like ever since we were little kids, I'm just very grateful for you. So thank you for
Yeah.
being
I mean, when
here,
I was
you know?
when I was 9 years old, I would go to my dad because I've got that artist eye. I notice those little imperfections. And
Yeah.
I went to my dad and I said, Dad, you have to promise that if they ever make a film accurate Buzz Lightyear, that you will buy it for me. And I listed all the things. It has to have lights on the wings, and the wings have to go out the right way and have to be long enough, and he has to have the right face, and this and this and this and this and this. And he's like, okay, buddy, thinking that like I'm just crazy, but he loves me anyway. So he's gonna be like, yeah, that's okay.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, your dad's Santa, so that's kind of like a
Yeah.
little more pressure.
Yeah, he's you know what? I've become a toy making elf.
Right, exactly. You guys are really the North Pole toy shop, which is a
Yeah.
cool name too. But it sounds like you guys have a dual, you actually have the North Pole and then you have like Preston's
Oh yeah.
now. It's like the elf
We
shop.
have yeah, we have always sort of been self-starters. We like to just be able to take our talents and take what we know and our knowledge and build a business for ourselves. So we've always sort of done that as a family, and we've always worked together. And I think that's another reason why we're all so close.
That's amazing. Yeah, and when I met you and your dad, I'm like, dude, these are my people. Like, unfortunately for me, I don't have anyone in my family as crazy like me. I'm the only one that's like willing to take my creative arts to the extreme so
Yeah.
far, because I'm always thinking like, okay, how far can I take this? And that's why I'm always trying to motivate others, so it makes me not feel alone in my
Mhm.
pursuit, because sometimes I feel very alone in my pursuit as an entrepreneur, in my pursuit as a
It's
YouTuber, as my pursuit as a
yeah.
musician. in my pursuit as like, even modifying toys. I feel very alone. But because of the internet, I don't. So I appreciate you and your dad because to me it feels like you guys make me feel like I'm not lost and there is a place for us like-minded people to get together and do these things. So it's really cool.
And I think as a community, we can all agree that we very much appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very kind of you to say that. Yeah, but no, yeah, this has been great, man. I really love to get into the mind of like, not only the creative process and what your thoughts are and what you have for the future, but also building a business. That is a very crazy venture. Just like being a YouTuber full time, like I ventured into. Starting your own business is not a joke, it's a very
Which,
hard.
by the way, I will be starting a YouTube page to the people that have been
Nice.
asking me. It is going to happen, and it's going to be
Awesome.
filled with a lot of behind the scenes process stuff, but also just talking about things generally, Toy Story and collecting related, and also just some custom projects that I might end up selling on the side that are just like one-offs.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to
Yeah,
have once you have that established, I'll definitely be one of the first ones to spread the word on your channel. I can't wait to
I
see
would
that.
appreciate
That's
it.
great. Yeah, super
I'd
cool.
appreciate to see you in the comments.
Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to share about the toy making process that I probably didn't ask before I move on?
There's so many things. I mean, like I'm constantly trying to update how I make the toys because I want to make the product good, but I don't want to make it so fast that I'm making mistakes. And unfortunately, mistakes happen sometimes, whether it's in the making process and I don't notice it because when you're making 10 at a time, it can sometimes happen. And I try my best to offer people to, if there is an error, you can send it back to me and I'll do my best to fix it and send it back to you. Um, I had one person that ended up breaking their Woody doll, and it wasn't because of an error that I had made. It was just because they played with it a little bit rough and it ended up cracking.
Mhm.
So I actually sent them a new one for free just because I felt bad and I feel like, everybody deserves to have their Woody doll that they paid for. So
That's
um
really kind of you. That's super cool of you.
yeah. But in terms of like production stuff, I am currently trying to work on a new way to do the eyes because right now they're water slide decals, which are like a process where you print out the eyeball on an inkjet printer on this paper that's so slidey that ink doesn't stick to it. And then you clear coat it with a really thick gloss coat and submerge the paper in water and it releases the clear coat and the ink is pulled away with it. And then you pick it up with like a pair of small tweezers and lay it on top of the eye and you let it dry and then it hardens back into the shell of the clear coat. Um, so that's what that process is now, but it leaves a lot of room for error. So
Hmm.
I'm looking into getting either a UV printer, which is something you can place a lot of objects down in a big plate, and it'll
Okay.
go across them and print them onto the object right away,
Nice.
or what they do in the factories, which is tampography, which is they
Okay.
have this silicone plate that picks up ink and then it dabs it onto the part and then it just does that again and again. And it's the same thing they do for like Lego minifigures and all that.
That's super cool. Yeah, I've seen that
Yeah.
process a little bit in the Thinkway Toys behind the scenes video. They do kind of
Yeah.
show that.
Yes, they use it in the Thinkway factories.
It looks like a stamp, like like a giant rubber
Mhm.
stamp or something like that. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. And that's old tech, right? That's been around for decades, I think,
Yeah, it's
right?
been around for a while. It's just like the hairlines thing that I do, the stencil. That's been around for forever in doll making.
That's
And
awesome.
I think the first time I thought of it, I was watching the Chucky movie,
Hmm.
and I think it's Child's Play 2, where they have the factory and they're placing the stencils
Yeah,
up
yeah.
against the Chucky faces and put
Right.
the stuff on their faces. Yeah. I'm refining that process because I have 3D printed parts right now that do that, but they're too thick and they have to be thick because printed parts can be fragile.
Right.
But they're too thick and they don't allow the paint to lay as evenly as I'd like, and I have to do a lot of touch-ups after the fact. So I'm going to be getting a vacuform machine to make thin plastic shells that I
Nice.
can cut the hairlines out of so that it's very up close to the surface and not leaving any room for fuzzy edges.
That's awesome. And so how do
Yeah,
you get your education in this? Like, do you research constantly besides your dad being an
research
expert?
constantly.
Is that what you do? You
I've always
just
been a, I've always been a self-starter on things, and
awesome.
I didn't go to college. I went through high school and I went through technical school.
Oh, okay.
And my technical school was for advertising art design. And after I left that, I just wanted to get into the business. I just wanted to start. So I just started learning everything that I possibly could, picking up everything along the way. And I mean, even with like Instagram, I have not used social media for the longest time because I don't like it. A lot of stuff about it I don't like,
Yeah.
but I knew that in order to get a business like this started, I had to be a part of that scene. So I just researched as much as I could about what's the best way to, keep up a conversation. How should you keep people updated? What's the best way to use the tags? Everything like that. And it's the same process that I use to learn how to do my art. I just everything figured out on my own.
Well, I'm so glad you figured it out because it's really cool to see you kind of evolve and grow. And the same
Yeah.
thing, I never went to school for business. I'm a, I own my own business now. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm self-taught as well. I went to school for psychology, and yeah, there's aspects of psychology I do apply when building my social media because social media is a part of social psychology. It's
Oh
also a
yeah,
part of
obviously.
psychology as well. So that did work for me, using my degree in that way. But when it came to business, that was all like, I don't know what this is, So I'm right there with you where
And let's not even get
I'm
into the taxes of it all.
right, the taxes, right? I
Yeah.
remember I was like, oh, I guess I'm a 1099. I'm
Yeah.
self-employed. I'm an independent contractor and I had to figure out
Hmm.
what that means. So yeah, people don't really think about these things because they don't, if unless they run a business, they don't think about it. So Toy Story 5 is coming out very soon.
Oh
Well, I
yeah.
mean, we have a little time. What are your thoughts on Toy
Mhm.
Story 5 and the announcement and the plot? And well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
You know what? I like the idea for the plot of Toy Story 5 more than I like the idea for the plot of Toy Story 4.
Same, me
Now, no
too.
hate to Toy Story 4. It was
Yeah,
still a good movie. It wasn't my favorite Toy Story, but I felt like it went off on a tangent that we didn't need to go on.
I
And I
agree.
kind of feel like this new Toy Story 5 plot should have been the 4 plot because that was really the age of kids getting into all this technology. So it feels like it should have already happened, but I'm happy that they're doing it.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree with you on that. That's awesome. Really excited about the tech versus toys because it's something that we kind
Hmm.
of saw in the Toy Story short, Time Forgot. But what do you think
Hmm.
of, so do you like the idea then for that
Oh
that
yeah,
plot?
no, I like the idea. I also think that it's funny that they use as a teaser those buses that have like the red
Yeah,
emblem, the red
right.
glowing thing. That kind of reminds me, it makes me think that they're going to be like bootleg Buzz Lightyears or something. Because like all bootleg toys have that like red LED in the middle of their chest.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like commemorative, so who knows what that even means. We're gonna have to watch the movie. But it did remind me of Small Soldiers because Small
Yeah.
Soldiers, they had the light up
Mhm.
belts. So this is like the light up chest now. It's kind of similar in a way. And they're
Yeah,
unhinged.
or maybe they'll bring AI into it.
You never know. I feel
Yeah.
like with the AI thing, that's definitely a probable thing. I wouldn't
Hmm.
rule that
Yeah.
out either. My other question for you, like a personal question, what's your favorite toy in your collection? Normal, and then what's your favorite like custom toy in your collection?
Yeah, go
My
ahead.
favorite toy in my collection is the Thinkway Toy Story Collection Buzz Lightyear. That's my favorite. And my favorite custom right now is my Woody that you put the final touches on for the Preston
Yeah.
V3 head. So that's my favorite one right now.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Currently, my favorite is one that I have modified, and it's my signature
nice.
collection Buzz that I added all the extra like hinge joints for the wrist and everything too,
Wow,
and
that
added
looks
the ball
amazing.
joints in the shoulders.
Yeah, show it off a little bit. What does it do?
Yeah. It like I made sure that it had most clearance possible so that it could go up and down as far as possible and not get like stuck. And then I wanted to make sure that obviously the wrist could go up and down, just like the film, but it could also twist the entire way around.
Yeah, it looks
And then
perfect.
the thumb can go in and out, and it can actually hold on to things. So a lot of times I'll have it holding like a pencil or something on my shelf.
That's so cool. That's something I didn't even think about, the small detail that makes a huge difference. You did that all yourself?
Yeah, another random custom thing you talked about that isn't Toy Story related is that I built a
Whoa.
Ghostbusters Neutrona wand.
That's awesome. Dude, that's super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Ghostbuster props. I think that's amazing. That looks really good. And so you made that yourself too by hand?
yeah. Hmm.
Wow, that's
Printed
incredible.
parts and all that,
Dude, that is
and
so
then going
cool.
through the long chain of community notes from the Ghostbusters forums and all that.
That's awesome. When I see props like that, it just brings the magic out. Like I'm a big Back to the Future fan. And to this day, like my hoverboard prop is like just my favorite thing in my room too, besides outside Toy Story. I love the hoverboard, the whole concept of it. And it's just
Yeah.
always been my favorite thing, Back to the Future 2, Toy Story 2
Well,
for some reason. It's always
I'm a
the two.
2000 kid, but my parents brought me up on the 80s, 90s, and 70s films.
Nice.
So I'm kind of this mix of generations. Um, And so yeah, my collection does have plenty of Toy Story, it's also filled with Ninja Turtles and Back to the Future and Ghostbusters and basically like everything under the sun. Mork and Mindy even.
Yeah,
Pee Wee
that's what I was
Herman.
gonna ask you. What else do you collect besides Toy Story? Besides what you just mentioned? That sounds really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I mean, like especially anytime more recently that like the collection companies like NECA have started making
Yeah.
like Alf, for example. Like I never thought
Yeah.
I'd get a really cool Alf figure, but they made one recently, so I had that, and that's on top of my computer. So yeah, I mean, I'm super interested in everything before my time.
Yeah, I'm the same. I know Street Sharks when that came announced by Mattel, I was like, I'm not gonna get it. But then I saw the toys and I was like, it's too cool, and I missed out on them when I was a kid. So I'm buying like a
Yeah.
lot of my favorites from the Street Sharks line right now from Mattel. So it's just really fun to like, I don't know. There's no limit to this, and that's the problem too. It's like a blessing and a curse because it's like I love it. Do I need it? No, but I
Yeah.
want it. And then I have to watch my
Well,
wallet. Yeah.
for me, it's this is that space where if I am feeling a little overwhelmed, I kind of come in here and I'm like, ah, the world's okay.
Yeah. It is an escape and a coping skill.
Yeah.
I remember telling people that, as people know, I was a therapist, marriage family therapist for 10 years before
Yeah.
while I was doing YouTube. Toy collecting is a form of therapy. It's a coping skill that takes you to a positive place away from negativity, depression, things like that. And
Mhm.
or just whatever people are struggling with in life. It doesn't have to be one thing over another. But that's why I always say, like, always turn to people for support. And if it's not hurting yourself or anybody else, toys is a wonderful form of
Yeah.
therapy. Toy therapy, right?
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's really cool.
And if you
But
have and if you have a good relationship with your family, try to keep close.
yes, that's always very important. And thanks for bringing that up. I
Yeah.
think that's what Toy Story is all about. I always try to foster a very positive sense of community here on this platform. And, Toy Story is about that. We help each other. The toys we're
Mhm.
constantly trying to rescue and help each other. And even the bad villains, even up into the end of Toy Story 3, Lotso was literally saved by Woody right before he tried to burn them all. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's really interesting to see that villains sometimes aren't villains. They still will give him a chance. So
Thank Pete got his home.
yeah, that's right. That was one of my favorite scenes actually. But yeah, I'm so excited for Toy Story 5. I'm excited for the toy lines coming out. I'm excited to add more toys to my collection and to review on the channel, of course. And I hope to see some of that on your channel once you get that going by that
Oh
time,
yeah, for
hopefully
sure.
the next couple of years. But you had mentioned something to me earlier about like possibly doing a con. Are you still planning to do that maybe in the future, like doing
Yeah,
a
I really would like to do a
toy con
con
or
where I
something?
sort of set up a shop. It was not, unfortunately, in the cards this year. I
Mm.
really wanted to, but by the time that I had thought about doing it, the con that's in Florida, which is MegaCon, it sells out almost at the beginning of the year when it
Wow.
comes to setting up booths. And you can put yourself on a waiting list afterwards to see if anybody's gonna like fall out. But it was not in the cards this year. So beginning of 2025, I'm going to put my hat in the ring for MegaCon to hopefully get a good stand. And then I am going to pause orders for a little bit and I'm going to make a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll even make some other sort of like random one-off things and we'll set up a shop and hopefully maybe you could come along too and we can make a bit of a fan event,
Yeah. Yeah, I was
and
just
have
about to
people
say
come
that.
down to Florida or people that live in Florida, they can all come and meet us and we can talk about stuff.
You know what? I'm gonna put this out there right now. If that happens, it'll be the
Mhm.
first Today I Grew Up meet and greet ever. I've never really done an official Today I
Yeah.
Grew Up meet and greet. I'll make that a you can meet Today I Grew Up there. That'd be great. I'd love to do it. That's awesome. Thanks for the invite. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But
was thinking
yeah,
maybe we could also do like I'd make one fully customized Woody doll and we could do like a raffle with it and then
yeah.
we put the funds from the raffle towards like St. Jude or something.
That'd be amazing, incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
or even towards a toy drive type
Yeah.
donation or
Hmm.
charity. That's a great idea. That's awesome. Loosely, what are your business plans going forward at this stage?
My business plans going forward would probably be to number one, obviously fill out the catalog of things that I'm making. I want to be able to sort of fulfill more of those dreams of people that want different characters or want the characters they already have to be more accurate. But also, I'm trying so that I can get things done faster to possibly start working with a factory. And I'm looking into a
Awesome.
couple of different ones because Seed Toys, for example, he definitely works for the factory. There's a few different people that like they make the prototype and then you work with the factory and make sure that paint colors are right and the material you want is right and all that. Um, I'm only going to do it though if a factory can produce at the level or above the level that I'm making. I'm not going to secede quality for
Right.
just some speed. But
Yeah.
I definitely think that it would be nicer to be able to have parts that are made from real vinyl plastic that can withstand some play and all that.
I'm not going to mention by name who this is, and I'm sure people can probably figure it out. But there is a custom person in the custom community who did that.
Hmm.
They partnered with the factory, but instead of trying to make it look better or more accurate, it actually reduced in quality. And and
Yeah.
then you can tell it became a mass-produced item. And then you
Hmm.
realize it's just a cash grab. It's not about details anymore, just like any other company. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point? I would think somebody who's making these toys would have as much passion as you do and I do
Yeah.
about getting these things right. So I'm really excited for you to go on this venture because it's something I thought about doing, but I thought, no, I'm more comfortable doing the content creator role. I can help
Hmm.
produce and design toys. And if that opportunity did come up one day where I could be part of a design team, of course, I'd love to be part of that think tank.
Hey man,
So
I'm offering out a
yeah,
hand
I'd love to do that.
when I get to the top, you know.
Once you get to the top, don't forget about me. I want to help design
Yeah.
because that's the thing. I'm just as picky as you. I really like it's people think I'm obsessed. Yeah, it's part obsession for sure. But I just want to get the job done right. My grandfather always told me before he passed away, he told me if you're gonna do something, you don't do it halfway, you do it all the way and
Mhm.
you do it right. And don't settle for less. And
My
yeah.
great grandfather said the same thing, but there
Oh,
were
that's
more
awesome.
expletives involved.
Yeah, right. There, we always leave that part out. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. No, that's great. No, that's and that's the thing. Like, I'm glad we connected because in that way, I think eventually with time, people will see our passion. We're not going to stop until we get the perfect Woody head. I think at this
Yeah.
point, right? Or the buzz head, perfect buzz head, because it's just
Yeah.
frustrating to this day to think why hasn't a company been able to do it? Do you think it's
It's not that it
budget?
would cost them. It's not that it would cost them more money to do. I
Right?
mean, it would still be the same amount of plastic, the same amount of paint. It's just getting the details right. And especially because Disney is making most of the toys now because Thinkway unfortunately has gone, you know, under, and that's sad that that happened during the pandemic, but it is what it is. Um, I mean, they have access to the direct digital models, so I don't know why they're not producing something that people want.
I think the one thing I heard through the pipelines, which could be rumor, but it's
Hmm.
like, oh, they see these toys as only marketed towards younger audiences, kids basically,
Yeah.
and they're kind of neglecting the adult collector market. But if that was
Hmm.
true, then why did we get the collection line charging almost $100 for something, and then we're
Yeah, and it
still
still
not getting it
wasn't.
perfect?
Hmm. Like, I mean,
That,
you
yeah,
see the prototype for the collection line, and it wasn't perfect either, but it at least had like the closed mouth
right,
smile and
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm just confused. And then another theory I heard was if they made the perfect Woody doll, then nobody would buy the 100 other variations of it. But I don't know if I buy that
Yeah, I
explanation. I
mean,
don't know.
it could also be that they just don't want to have extremely accurate like replications that people could do nefarious things with on videos. Like I know that for the Muppets, for example, they don't sell any highly accurate Kermit the Frog puppets that you can just buy. And in fact, when people make them on eBay, a lot of times the eBay postings get pulled down
Right.
because people can make a very accurate Kermit say very non-Disney friendly things. And so, I mean, it's there's a nuanced thing to it, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, then why did we get the closed mouth smile, Woody? One eyebrow off.
Yeah, one eyebrow away.
One
And
eyebrow
and
away.
most people don't notice it, but the smirk is just slightly off to
Slightly,
one
yeah.
side. Yeah,
I did
just a
notice
little bit.
that. Yeah, I did
Hmm.
notice that. It's very, very, very slight. But it's
Hmm.
almost kind of like that was the nod to like we could do it. We're just not doing
We could do it, but we're
it.
not gonna.
But that was Thinkway, and the funny thing is Thinkway produced that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That, and then it didn't
As
have
soon as I
hairlines.
saw that they were producing those, I ran to my closest Walmart,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they weren't even actually selling them yet. So they had them up on that like top shelf where they hide things until the next couple days. And
Hmm.
because I'm tall, I'm like 6'2". I just like reached up
Oh,
there and
nice.
grabbed it and ran to the front, and they let me purchase it anyways.
That's all. To this day, still have one on my Disney Store modded Woody, accurate
Hmm.
stunt Woody. I call him a stunt Woody. But I bought about maybe 6 or 7 of them during the time I was modding and experimenting with what I could do with it.
Yeah,
Basically. So that's
it's still fun
awesome.
to keep them for like the history of
Yeah.
Woody dolls and all that.
Yeah, I think eventually once I have the money, because I'm not rich, I keep reminding people, I pay
Yeah.
my bills, but I don't have extra. But if I had extra money, I would definitely be buying doubles of everything in my room. I
Mhm.
started that a little bit slowly, but eventually I'd love to have one boxed, one open of every Thinkway toy I have, and then eventually, like like you said, have an extra sealed. I
Mhm.
love that concept, sealed and open, because then you can examine and actually hold it in your hands. Because imagine owning a
With that,
$1,200 toy and you can't touch it ever.
you constantly have that need to be like, what if I just opened it the one time?
Yeah.
I used to have the D23 exclusive Woody's Roundup set that were like the black and white in the cases. I have the smaller marionette versions now,
Oh,
but
nice.
unfortunately I had to sell the other ones and I never got to really like mess with them, which was always sad.
Yeah, that is sad. So what was
But
your first toy in your collection? I gotta ask, what was your very first like toy?
my very first Woody doll was a Burger King puppet Woody, the ones that you like
Oh
stick your
yeah,
fingers in the back of and you
mine
can move the
too.
legs around. That was my very first
Yeah,
Woody doll. Um, it was not my very first like toy in my collection, but my very first like serious toy that I kept
yeah.
around with me everywhere. And then the second one, which is funny, was also a Woody doll, but it was my uncle's Woody doll that he gave to me. And I still was like very young when I had it. So it had been washed several times, like, and it was one of those smaller ones that have like the press buttons on the front.
Right.
And it was washed several times. So the body was separated from the fabric. And over the years, the fabric and body was lost. And all I had was a head and like the stump where the buttons on the chest were. And I'd carry that around for forever until I finally lost that, I think like 2 years ago.
Oh wow. Yeah, same with
Yeah.
me. I got the Woody puppet and I moved so many times as a kid that it got lost, and so I just never replaced it. I need to replace it still to this day. I should just buy one on eBay.
Yeah.
I just didn't think about it, you know. But
I
that's great.
loved Toy Story so much when I was a kid, and my dad just wanted to be a part of the things that I was interested in. So
That's
he
awesome.
started this thing called I think it was called the Toy Story Rescue Team. And he made these lanyard badges that he printed up that had like a custom design on them. And we go around to yard sales and thrift stores and everything. And my dad would make connections with the thrift store owners because he's always good at making friends. He makes friends everywhere he goes. And he'd be like, if you ever get like a Woody doll in here, make sure you let us know about it.
That's
We had
awesome.
we had this list. I had so many of the 1995 Buzz Lightyear figure that just had
That's
like a stamp on the bottom of it that said Toy Story Rescue Team in my
that's
collection.
amazing.
Unfortunately, they are all sold out to other collectors now, which is good. It's good to spread it out to other people. An important announcement, along with some of the things we were
Yeah.
talking about, future plans. One of the things I'm going to be doing as a side project is I have a few extra 1995 Buzzes and Woodies, and I'm going to be modifying them to add some accuracy to them, but it's going to be kind of like
Nice.
a nostalgic remix kind of buzz because it's going to have my updated head with some painted hands and fingertips and some other accuracy adjustments, but it's still going to be on that 1995 buzz body. And I'm going to make sure that the wings are fixed because I know how to print the parts to fix the wing ejection mechanism.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that all the electronics work. And I'm going to be selling. I think I have like 5 or 6 of those. And I'm going to be selling them on my eBay page.
Amazing. All right. We'll definitely look out for that. It sounds really fun. Who's your favorite Toy Story character and why?
Woody.
If you had to pick one. Okay. And why is
Woody,
that?
no question. He just sets in a place in my heart where he's one of those people that will always stick with you and he's always there for you. And it kind of reminds me of my dad in that way, where he's always very supportive, even though you might not always know that he's there supporting you. As Woody, he's a toy. Uh, he's always there to help you out, and he doesn't want to. He wants to make sure that his person is moving on in life and happy. So I think Woody's always been that kind of spirit animal character for me.
That's awesome. And then what's your favorite Toy Story movie out of the four and why?
It's always going to be between one and two.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
One obviously got me in the door, but two, I think I have the most great memories of because I just always think about like the Woody's Roundup collection and how I want to fill that out and how I was like
Yes.
amazed by that when I saw it the first time when I was a kid. And also Toy Story 2 was like the first movie that I like actually cried at because of that stupid Jesse song.
That I mean, honestly, Toy Story, you surprisingly enough, can make you cry. That's a very true
Yeah,
statement. Yeah, there's a lot of touching moments, especially in Toy Story 3. I think I've never seen
yeah,
more people cry in a movie theater than when I was at watching Toy Story 3 in the theater and Andy's giving away the toys. The whole theater was crying. Like literally,
yeah.
everybody was like tearing up, not a dry eye in the whole room. it was pretty crazy.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I think my dad cried more than I did when he saw Toy Story 3 with me because it was
that's
like I was finally starting to grow up, and at that
right.
time I was trying to grow up, and then I was like, maybe I should get rid of my collection, and I got rid of some things, and he was sort of feeling that when Andy gave away his toys to
Oh no.
Bonnie, and it was just like killing him over there. And then, a few years later, I'm like, you know what? I'm an adult. I have a job. I have a life, but you know what? I still feel like there's something missing, and it is that
Right.
collection that I had when I was a kid.
That's
And so
awesome.
I brought it back.
You're like Andy. It's like at first he's like, nobody's gonna want those toys. They're junk. And then he really had that Woody, he was gonna take it to college. So
Yeah.
it kind of shows that, it's just part of growing up. We all
Hmm.
change, we all, change our minds. It makes us human, so we evolve. But anyways, Preston, thank you so much for your time.
Hey,
I've had a
man,
great
it was
chat with
great.
you. What's the best way for someone to place an order with you if that's what they want to do? If you can just share that process and your contact for everybody out there listening.
Obviously, the best place to find me is at my Preston's Toy Shop Instagram page. And then currently orders are kind of slowed at the moment in terms of actual eBay and Etsy orders, just because I'm trying to build up that stock like we talked about earlier. But if you do want to have like a custom Woody doll made or something like that, like you have a Woody doll that you'd like to be customized, then direct message me and we can work something out. And I think within a week or two, I'm going to be making a big announcement about uh, some new things and old things that are going to be brought back to my shop. And it's going to be a new eBay page as well that's directly built for me.
Perfect. And you know what? This is good for us to both help the community because I also offer a Woody mod service. So I help people
Yeah.
build and modify people's Woodies. So that way, between me and Preston, we got you guys covered. If you guys need help with your
Yeah.
Woody needs, we can help in. And that's we need people like you out there because I'm
We
only
should
one
we
person.
should build like a conveyor belt
Yeah.
process where like they
Yeah.
send it to you first and then you send
Yeah,
it
it's
to
fine.
me and then I send it back to them.
You know what? We're gonna do that because there's times
Yeah.
where I'm sure we're both like, okay, Preston, I can't handle this one. I'm gonna send them to you, you know? So that's a good
Yeah.
idea. We should definitely do that. I think that'll help the community out a lot. But yeah, and so the best way to contact is probably Instagram, right? So
Oh yeah, for
everybody
sure.
follow Preston. I'll have your link pinned in the comments below. And anything else you want to tell the audience before we close?
Thank you for being a part of what I'm doing right now, and thank you for your support. And I'm so glad that you all like what I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Preston. And again, I want to remind everybody out there why we do this. Always work hard, dream big, never give up, put your mind to it. You can accomplish anything and make impossible into possible. And that's how all of our dreams can come true if we help each other out in this community. All right. Thanks, guys, so much. Love you all. Thank you, partners.
Bye.
Like and subscribe and comment and follow Preston. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
You weren't the real Buzz Lightyear. You're an action figure.
You are a sad, strange little man. You are a sad, strange little man.
You are a child's plaything.
Hey, Ham, look, I'm Picasso.
I don't get it.